What are the moves you need to be making for your Dynasty Fantasy Football Leagues prior to the NFL Draft? Who are the most overrated and underrated rookies out there at this moment? And who are the veterans that you want to target? Who are the veterans that you want to fade? Who are the veterans you want on your Dynasty teams for fantasy glory in 2025? We have $500,000 previous FFPC winner and 8-time league champion in the FFPC, Chuck Root, hanging out with us tonight. Ferrell Elliott is here. Stick around. I'm Eric Balkman. Your high-stakes fantasy football hour starts now.
Can't stand the pressure. I've seen greater men than me, the lesser.
Broadcast live and heard around the world, you are now watching the most entertaining hour of radio on the planet. Welcome to the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com with your hosts Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott. The High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour is your home for analysis from the best players in the world. And now, because no one else was available, here are Eric Balkman and Ferrell Elliott.
Solace in the scripture. Are we not all our father's sons? I became a man, nobody ever told me what a man was.
Greetings and salutations to all of you Balkaholics and Ferrelliacs. Welcome into the latest episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by the Fantasy Football Players Championship over at myffpc.com. I am your slightly above average host, Eric Balkman. My co-host is the definitive commissioner of fantasy football, Ferrell Elliott. Coming up on tonight's show, we have a lot to unpack as we are less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft in glorious Green Bay, Wisconsin. There might be some pundits out there, one in particular, who I will not name because I respect his work. And I don't know if he's been to Green Bay before. I don't know if he's ever been to Green Bay. Seems to go out of his way on all of his shows to trash Green Bay, trash the people of Green Bay, trash the city of Green Bay. I've been there many a time. Granted, I live in Appleton, Wisconsin, which is about 2 Jordan Love Hail Mary throws southwest of Green Bay. I love it here. I think it's great. I think the draft is going to be fun. I've already made plans to go to it all 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, bringing my son up for all 3 days, hanging out with some friends up there. It's going to be legendary. This is going to be one of the biggest events the state of Wisconsin has ever hosted, be it political, news, sports, pop culture, music, theater, movies, whatever. It's going to be awesome. And I listen, I find it weird for people, and if that gentleman or anybody else is trashing Green Bay, and I hate to bring this up on the show to lead it off all the time. But if you've never been to Green Bay, probably don't trash it. Probably experience it first and then give your honest opinion. And if it sucks for you, then it sucks for you. But I like it here. I think it's great, and I'm not going to trash it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. My 2 cents. Everybody else is entitled to their own informed opinions. If you're uninformed, misinformed, probably keep your mouth shut. Moving on. The FFPC is proud to bring you the Never Too Early Best Ball and the Never Too Early Superflex Best Ball tournaments available at myffpc.com. A $125 entry fee will get you to the Never Too Early Best Ball tournament, a $40,000 grand prize there, and a $35 entry fee will get you in the Superflex Best Ball tournament, Never Too Early, for a $10,000 grand prize. Drafts are available with the 30-second, 60-second, 2-hour, and 4-hour clock. However, we've already shunned the 6-hour clocks for the remainder of the drafting season. The 4-hour clocks are probably going to go bye-bye on Monday. You have less than 2 weeks. I don't know why I keep saying hours. You have less than 2 weeks to register for these drafts because we will cut them off at the start of the NFL draft 13 days from now at the start of the NFL draft. Okay. Dynasty Orphans still available. When I sent out the email this morning, we had 112 Dynasty Orphans left. It's probably under 100 now. Entry fees normally range between $77 and $5,000. You can get them as low as $1 right now. So basically a free Dynasty team for your first year. Manage it to the playoffs, manage it to a championship, and it is yours, however long you want to keep it. 1,800 plus leagues over the last 15 years. None have ever folded in the FFPC. We also launched a limited run of Start-Up $100 leagues as well. So if you want to start up your Dynasty, myffpc.com is where to go for that. The FFPC Big Gorilla Tournament is in full swing, a $1 million grand prize there. You're going to get a $50 discount for every third team you sign up for there. Drafts have been going on for the last couple of months. The Early Rampage Tournament is off and running. This is great. If you want to sign up for the Big Gorilla tournament right now, you're automatically entered into the early Rampage tournament as well. Same team, same entry fee, 1 entry fee, 2 tournaments. Who's going to turn that down? And the 7 Bananas promo is live already. We've had multiple teams cash in a free $125 best ball tournament team. We've had a couple of guys cash in free FFPC main event teams. And that Jungle Safari for 4, valued at $50,000, still available. We'll see if any of you hit it there. So sign up. All you have to do is keep hitting that number 7 pick 2, 3, 4, 5 times in a row to get that. myffpc.com. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, and get notified each and every time we go live, which will be next Thursday. More to come on that at the end of the show, and I'll tell you who's going to be guest hosting the High Stakes Fantasy Football Show on the Better Sports Network on Thursday night. Who's going to be co-hosting tonight's show? You know him. You absolutely love him. You follow him on the X and Instagram at jferrellelliott. You connect with the Kentucky Fantasy Football Championship at kffsc.com, at KFFSC official on the X. He is the incomparable Ferrell Elliott, and I welcome him in tonight. Ferrell, a good Friday evening to you. Just think 2 weeks from now, we're going to see running back landscapes around the NFL torched by all the teams that are going to be drafting 2nd and 3rd round running backs in the draft in Green Bay coming up. How are you tonight, man?
I'm doing really well. I enjoyed your comments about the draft, and you said something like I won't be negative about the draft or something. Why are you hearing some pushback in the Green Bay area about the draft? Or you're not welcome?
No, I was talking with, I ran into, so the local radio station I work at, we have 6 radio stations in the megaplex in the building. And
I love the megaplex.
The megaplex.
It's very impressive.
I was talking with one of the DJs from our hard rock station, and he said, "Are you pumped up for the draft?" And I said, "Well, there's a lot of stuff I got going on for the draft, a lot of responsibilities. I'll be glad when it's over, but I'm really looking forward to experiencing it. I've been at the draft in Chicago twice, but I said, I kind of want it to be over." And he said, "Yeah, that's kind of the feeling I'm getting right now." Because everybody in Northeast Wisconsin, Ferrell, has been going hard on the planning and making sure everybody who is coming here is going to be welcomed and is going to have a great time. And it is stressful. But I think the pushback I've got from some national people who may or may not even be coming to Green Bay are kind of like, yeah, why would you ever go to Green Bay to watch the NFL draft? I'm going to go watch it somewhere else. And I think it's weird. I think it's a weird thing to say.
Chuck Root would be there, our guest tonight. Chuck Root shows up whenever football is happening. Chuck Root's there. So, that's a good thing. The whole family is like that, Amber and the whole family. I'm kind of like the mall Santa Claus, when it comes to the draft. I love the draft, but I really do want it to get over. Just like Mall Santa wants Christmas to get over. You start talking to ball players, all they want to talk about is the draft, and then it's training for the draft and getting ready for the pro day, and hopefully move through the draft. Where are you going to go? And the last 2 weeks before it, that's when the family gets really involved. What are you hearing? What do you know? And boy, I'll tell you, there's nobody more tired than the scouts.
Really?
Yeah, the scouts rolled into Louisville to give you an idea. And there were 25 athletes that showed up for pro day. So what do? You've got to write them, or you've got to separate them. Do you think Louisville has 25 NFL prospects? Maybe 4?
It's not 25. I'm trying to look at through my red and white colored goggles, and I don't know if I can get to 25, Ferrell.
I love the way we're talking tonight, because it's kind of like watching a Godzilla movie. When you just start talking and the words come out, I think that's kind of what's around me. But yeah, and when the scouts will start on the 2026 draft?
They've already started.
Yeah, no, but about 4 to 5 days after.
Oh, okay, all right.
About 4 or 5 days after, they'll be back on the road with the 2026 draft. So, draft kind of never ends.
It never ends.
But the culmination of this one will be in Green Bay, and I can't think of a better place because it's close to Balky, and that's where James Hicks and all our listeners. Hey, Rubio says he joined his first off orphan. He's like me in fantasy. We don't have the lingo down. He adopted his first orphan. That's the proper lingo there. And Stevens is here tonight. from up in New York, and we got a great crew. James Hicks. I wonder where Christian is. Probably hung over from his birthday. There's
Yeah,
Oinker.
we'll get Oinker in here for James Hicks, like hanging out with us tonight.
I love those guys so much from Team Porkies, and I've great affection for Oinker that I've actually given up consuming pork. It's
wow!
It's off my list, man. Ham, barbecue,
Listen,
bacon, no way, and I'm gonna do it.
I'm not going to judge you for any religious beliefs, Ferrell, but it is Lent right now, so there are a lot of people giving up.
Oh no, it's I'm off pork year round, not just
year round. Okay.
Year round.
I want to get into the show tonight, and here's the thing.
Do it.
Sometimes things come up prior to when I build the rundown, and stuff slips through the cracks. Friday night news dump. We had one tonight about 8 o'clock Eastern time. We found out from Ian Rappaport that Derek Carr is believed, quote unquote, to have suffered a significant injury in his throwing shoulder during last season. Now,
wow.
In weeks 15 through 18, Carr was listed as having a left hand injury. He's a right-handed thrower, but he was listed as a left hand injury. But there was no mention the last month of the year of any kind of throwing shoulder, throwing arm issue. Rappaport is kind of, if you read between the lines, there's obviously more to this story. Carr is contemplating surgery, Ferrell, right now on April 11th, 2025. And I think I have to bring this up because this kind of changes, at least the way we're thinking about how the Saints are handling the quarterback position. It's obviously changing the way we think about Chris Olave. It's changing the way we think about Rashid Shaheed, who is coming off an injury of his own. And it's changing the way we think about the running game and any potential pass catchers that the Saints might be drafting, or quite frankly, a new quarterback that might be drafted in the first round, second round here tonight, who could be the heir apparent to Derek Carr. This kind of caught me off guard. My initial reaction, because I haven't had time to delve into it right now, Ferrell, is I'm kind of avoiding Saints. I'm kind of hoping that nobody that I like in the NFL draft goes to New Orleans, is being drafted by New Orleans. I really want to avoid this dumpster fire right now. Maybe there's value in Olave. Maybe there's value in Kamara. Jawan Johnson, obviously, in FFPC tight end premium leagues right now. But quite frankly, my initial reaction is until I know more, I'm staying away. In best ball leagues, the KFFSC leagues I'm drafting in right now. How do you feel about the situation?
Well, we'll know more about it soon, but Rubio may be right. This could be a smokescreen. Well, Rubio is really hitting it good because Ian always likes to get himself in the news. He wants to be the first. Who knows? But yeah, well, who they got in the quarterback room, Balky? Who's in the room down there?
If you remember, Ferrell, last year we had 5 quarterbacks, I want to say, drafted in the first half of the first round with Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, and J.J. McCarthy. We did not see another quarterback drafted until the 5th round. That 5th round pick went to New Orleans, and he was one Spencer Rattler. He was the next
Carolina.
Out of South Carolina by way of Oklahoma, and he was the next quarterback that was drafted after those big 5 were selected. Came into a few games last year, started a few games for New Orleans, and I would say results are maybe as expected or maybe less than expected. But that's who they got in their quarterback room right now is the next guy up, Rattler, unless they sign somebody. Aaron Rodgers obviously out there. Kirk Cousins potentially could be an option for New Orleans. Other than that, they might be looking for a new guy to pair with Spencer Rattler going forward. I really don't know what they're going to do.
I'm kind of a big Rattler fan. Always have been. Well, we'll see. Let's put that one on the shelf as we'll see.
We'll put a pin in that because it's so fresh and we don't know what's going to happen. As Rubio points out, this may be a fugazi. This may be something to distract us away from what's going on.
When you have talented pass catchers like Olave, when he came into the league, I said to you, Balky, Balky, he is the most professional NFL-ready wide receiver. And then you think about some of the better players in each draft at certain positions, guys like Bowers. How many catches Bowers last year?
104, I want to say.
How many quarterbacks? 4 or 5?
At least 4. Yeah.
It's so you take that elite receiver. I hope everyone does decide that Olave is is not desired in this current ADP, as reported by Darren Armani. And because at that point in time, that's when I'll go out and try to grab some Olave. And, you talk about rookie quarterbacks. I spoke with a very, very good player, very successful player in fantasy football. And he said, last year I had Williams and Richardson on several teams together. And he says, I had a rough year.
Yeah.
And, those same guys this year could deliver a really good year.
I want to bring up Joe Flacco, who's in the news, Ferrell, because he apparently has signed a 1-year, $4 million deal, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter, with the Cleveland Browns. Mm-hmm. He is going to have a chance to earn up to $13 million this year. He is turning 40 years young this season. 6 games did he start for the Colts last year. Just over 1,700 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 7 picks, 65% completion percentage. And this is a player who's going to go back into Kevin Stefanski's offense. This is an offense that he won Comeback Player of the Year a couple of years ago. And he only has one Kenny Pickett to beat out as of right now. We'll see what Cleveland does in the draft, because they could come away with Shadir Sanders or somebody else here. But Ferrell, what do you make of this signing by the Browns this close to the draft, but still prior to the draft? What does it mean? What should we be doing? Should we be changing anything in the way we think about David Njoku, Jerry Jeudy, and the other Cleveland Browns skill position players based on this signing by the Browns to get Flacco in, who honestly is probably the most accomplished quarterback they got in the quarterback room right now?
Ooh, we're going to see more of this. So you asked me a direct question. So before I start babbling along here, I'll answer your question. If you're already dependent on quarterback talent to elevate your Cleveland Browns you're drafting, you're already making a big mistake. So there you are. We're going to see more of this type of thing, and it's very much transfer portal related. And I forgive me if we talked about this last week, but it's very much on my mind, especially with the one and done quarterbacks that'll be coming in college football. Even in the most sophisticated offenses, you've got to dumb that down just because you don't have time to put it in. And so consequently, these guys are less ready for the NFL, these young quarterbacks. So we're going to see the old guys hanging around for a while. And I think that's what we have here is you've got to have somebody in the building that no matter what you do, that you can rely on to start games and try to win, try to go 500 for you, which is what you want in a backup quarterback. Try to go 500. And, for the Browns, that might be a step up. John Anderson, great FFPC player and KFFSC player, terrific fan of football. He was very excited. That's the news I woke up, when Flacco. He said, "We got Flacco back," So.
And you need accomplished quarterbacks like that playing against the Ravens, playing against the Bengals.
John Anderson hasn't missed a home Browns game in like 25 years.
Good for him.
Yeah, crazy.
Badge of courage right there. I want to touch on one rookie thing before we get to Chuck Root, who is waiting in the green room right now, dining on some caviar and some steak tartare that we put back there. Omarion Hampton is yesterday, Ferrell, met with the New York Giants for a pre-draft visit. This according to Art Stapleton. Omarion Hampton stands at 6 foot, 220 pounds. At the NFL Scouting Combine, his athletic score was really, really good. And obviously when he was at North Carolina, had a really, really good career there as well. In his final season with the Tar Heels, 1,600 plus yards, 15 touchdowns. He forced 73 missed tackles and did not fumble the ball one time. 43 targets. He caught all but 5 of them for 373 yards, 2 touchdowns, and forced 8 missed tackles on that as well. The Giants meeting with him, I think, should send shivers up the spine for Tyrone Tracy owners out there. I want to get your thoughts on Omarion Hampton, the player. Matt Waldman from Football Guys Rookie Scouting Portfolio came out with his rankings And granted, he said, he'll adjust, and he always does adjust after the NFL draft. But right now he has Amari and Hampton outside his top 10, if I'm remembering correctly, for running backs in this year's class. How do you view Hampton? I'm a big fan of his, and I think there's a probably better than 50-50 shot, Ferrell, in my opinion, that he goes within the top 15 picks of the draft in less than 2 weeks.
I agree. He's the kind of running back that teams can count on to do all the things that you mentioned. He's good size. He's been largely injury-free and a tremendous senior year. And from the word I'm getting, he's a very, very good interview within the teams. Of course, the Giants, they have to go hit a home run at running back, where they can look back on it and say, well, this is kind of what we planned,
Right.
when we let Saquon go, we knew that the 2025 draft class was deep and we would find our future guy. And so they've got the most to gain and the biggest catch up to do. So if they believe in him, that's a good sign for this player.
What would be wild here, and I think this is what throws a monkey wrench into it. The Giants pick 3 overall. They're not considering Amari and Hampton at 3. They're considering guys like Shadir Sanders, guys like Travis Hunter, guys like Abdul Carter. Those are the players they're considering at 3. They don't pick again until the second round, which is 34th overall, which would mean if they're interviewing Hampton, it's got to be like, hey, we might trade back up into the first round to grab this guy. But there's a non-zero chance that he won't be there, Ferrell.
That's right.
And I think that's what's so compelling about this Hampton visit with the Giants, because it doesn't strike me as a good pairing as far as draft value, draft capital, and where this team is drafting here.
I think what that's most compelling thing about the opening round of the draft is the teams jockeying for positions with trading. That's what's and there's certain analysts that really get it. They really get it right when they say, "Hey, this is why they're doing that," and it makes it fun to watch. And then there's other guys that are just sort of clueless,
like me.
You've got a terrestrial radio station.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm hamstrung a little bit in that.
You are Eric Balkman.
I am Eric Balkman. And I am not tonight's guest on the show, but I'm going to bring him in right now, and we're going to tell you who he is. This is a guy who has 8 FFPC league titles to his name. This is a guy who won $500,000 just a couple of short years ago in the FFPC. I believe most of his teams are Buff Chicken. You've probably seen him in your leagues. You've probably seen him at the top of the leaderboards, top of the standings in your leagues over the years. And he's here to dispense some knowledge, not only on redraft commentary, but also how he's handling his dynasty team in the FFPC as well. Please welcome back onto the show, Mr. Chuck Root. Charles, good evening. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So good to have you. I want you to explain once again for the listeners, the viewers, and quite frankly, myself, because I forgot.
Okay.
The Buff Chicken team name, where did this come from?
Well, it actually, the name came from my son, actually. We were camping, and I was wearing a Foghorn Leghorn shirt, and he couldn't remember what the name was. And he said, what's that Buff Chicken guy's name? And just kind of stuff. So,
Buff Chicken.
Yep.
Oh, because Foghorn Leghorn, a very imposing cartoon. Yeah,
exactly.
Impressive Southern chicken.
There was one time, I know nobody cares about this, but I'm going to share it anyway. I was sitting at work with the Dizzle, FFPC co-founder Dave Gerzak. And we were going back and forth on. We brought up Foghorn Leghorn for no reason, and once you fall down the rabbit hole, you gotta keep going. And so I was Googling best Foghorn Leghorn, cliches or expressions or whatever, all the things he said, and the one that got us, and it won't get us tonight. You guys will chuckle at this. You won't laugh hard. But he was talking with Foghorn Leghorn was talking with like the farmhouse dog. I don't know what his name was, but he got beaten up. He had like bruises and bumps all over his body, and he was kind of like limping, walking towards Foghorn Leghorn. And Foghorn Leghorn's talking to the young chick or whatever, and all of a sudden he stops talking to the chicken and he turns to the dog and he said, "Boy, what happened to you? You look about 3 miles of bad road." It's the most Foghorn Leghorn thing ever. So hilarious. Again, I know no one cares, but I still to this day, every time I've Googled it, I went on YouTube to watch it. It's so hilarious. Foghorn Leghorn, legendary.
It's
And
good
in my
stuff.
opinion, he's not on the Mount Rushmore,
No.
Chuck, of cartoon characters, but he's the next step down.
I
3
agree.
miles of bad road, Balky would be a good team name.
Yeah, that
I'm
would
gonna
be.
add that
Yep.
right now. 3 miles of
Definitely.
that road.
It'd be a good team name. I like what Chuck Root's doing. He's de-aging. He gets younger every time he comes on the show. And Dom Gazzetti's talking about our sweatshirts. We have a frost warning here in Kentucky tonight. That's how weird this whole thing is.
Yeah, we had snow today, but it's Buffalo, so.
Buffalo snow.
Well, that's par for the course.
Right.
I feel like and it's 45 degrees here in Appleton, so it's
That's
not
about right.
it's not warm out. But I pretty much wear a hoodie year round. I'm just comfortable in it. So
But I thought that was the dress code, so
yeah, no, it is like hat, hoodie, shorts. Like I'm good. That's probably what I'll be wearing to the draft in a couple weeks. As I'm excited to head up to Green Bay. Two guys, Chuck, as we kick off our interview here tonight. Two guys that were drafted high in the NFL draft in 2024 and 2023 are Marvin Harrison and a tight end for your Buffalo Bills, Dalton Kincaid.
Okay.
If I was to say, hey, one of these guys is going to bounce back in 2025 from a lackluster 24 season, who do you think's most likely between those two, Harrison and Kincaid, to have a bounce back season this year?
Well, I actually love them both. I think they both are. But if you had to pick one, I would say Harrison. I mean, the way that he was drafted, that high to be the man, and I think Kyler Murray's going to figure it out that he has to be the man. And I think working with McBride is it's a perfect combination. One guy deep, one guy underneath. So I think he's going to have a big year. But at the same time, Kincaid, I think last year he was just injured. And if he comes back healthy, I think he's going to be what everybody thought he was going to be last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thrilled to see the Dizzle in here. When you get a guest like you, Chuck Root, on the show, we want to ask some questions. I want to get as many of them out as I can. I want to educate myself. Here's two players that have always given me a little bit of confusion. One's a young player, and one is a middling vet as we move forward. One that I will Roma Dunze, who's currently the 509 in the FFPC Never Too Early ADP. I traded this player in Dynasty this week and acquired T. Higgins. We talked so much about T. Higgins. I don't have T. Higgins anywhere, so I gave up a Dunze, who I spent an impressive draft pick on last year. DJ Moore entered the league amongst Dynasty drafters as a very high draft pick. DJ Moore is at the 401. I'm just going to ask you straight up, Chuck, which one would you prefer to have on your team? Is 401 being overpaid for Moore? Is a Dunze a value pick, or is this about where they should be?
I think it's about where they should be at this point. I mean, I like DJ Moore, I always have, but I mean, you know what you're going to get with him. He's going to be consistent, and if you're talking redraft, I think he's the way to go. But a Dunze is explosive. I think we're talking big playability. He's more. I'd push toward best ball, especially. You're getting almost a 2-round value on him. I think that's the difference between the two. It's like the consistency with Moore, but the big plays with the Dunze, I think.
In my Dynasty League, did I make the right move, a Dunze for Higgins?
I think I'd rather be on the Dunze side with that. I really do. I
looked at those double-digit targets to Higgins last year, and I could not resist.
Right. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I just regarding that conversation, Odunze and Higgins, what have you. I think Moore is going to be still the lead guy this year. There's a lot of people out there, and Chuck, you probably run into these people in your Dynasty League that believe that this is the sophomore pickup, right? This is the step forward that Odunze is going to make. He's going to be the guy. This is the guy with the draft capital, and obviously with Ben Johnson in there, he's going to get that offense right. And I do think Odunze does take a step forward. I still think the guy who's going to have the better season for Chicago is DJ Moore. Now, when you bring in draft capital into this, am I willing to pay in the Never Too Early Best Ball tournament a round and a half of draft capital to get DJ Moore? It's very, very close, right? Yeah. Over Odunze. I will say that in the KFFSC, one of the best ball teams I'm in right now, Ferrell, I had the opportunity. I was deciding between Chris Godwin and Roma Dunze at the 601, obviously in a wide receiver heavy format. And I couldn't quit Chris Godwin because I think he's going to have a massive season. So it pained me. I wanted both of them. I couldn't draft both of them. So I took Godwin. Odunze obviously since went. I think both these guys, Moore, Godwin, Odunze, are all in for big seasons. I lean towards Moore having a big season. But, Chuck, this is why we ask you the tough questions. Right. Because when you bring draft capital into it, God, I don't know which one I'd rather have at that point.
Right. And that's why
tough questions for us, Balky, but Chuck doesn't seem to have any issues.
No, I just like redraft. I like more. Like I said, best ball I'd probably push towards Odunze at this point. So,
let me ask you about the Buffalo Bills here, Chuck. James Cook carried me to a couple of dynasty championships last year. Loved it, but I look back on it. Touchdowns are not a sticky stat, and part of the reason James Cook was awesome in 2024 was all those touchdowns that he had. Now there's some consternation between the franchise and James Cook's management about getting a long-term deal there. They already drafted Ray Davis last year. So certainly they have somebody to step up if Cook holds out or if they can't get something done with Cook, or maybe he's traded. I don't know if that's going to happen. What's your current level of concern with James Cook right now? If you have him in a dynasty league, is this a guy that you should be schlepping to somebody else? Is this a guy that is we're doing the Mel Gibson Braveheart hold, or not Braveheart? Was it Braveheart? I can't remember. Maybe
he was in Braveheart.
I know he was in Braveheart. But I think it was Braveheart where he's like, hold. Right. Are we holding James Cook right now, Chuck? What are you doing?
That's that girl that's trying to sell her cars on TV. To hold. Another thing.
Gotcha. No, Cook scares me. He scares me a lot. I think his demands are too high. Just the word around town here, he put his house up for sale, which could mean nothing because he could just be looking for a different house. But the whole idea of the money that he wants, just the way the Bills operate, I mean, I could totally see one of those situations where he holds out a little bit. He still gets a contract right before the season starts, but then you're talking possible injury concern, things like that. He's someone that I have in Dynasty, and I've tried to get rid of him already. I've been trying to, work around, try to get some high draft picks for him. Nothing's happened for me yet, but I'm not going to give him away. But he scares me. Plus, I have Ray Davis behind him, so that kind of helps.
So, what do you think about Ray Davis? Can Ray Davis be the kind of back that carries the rock 80% of the time for the Bills?
I mean, I think that if they were to make a move on Cook, I think they'd be bringing somebody else in. I mean, I think they drafted Ray Davis to be there if they needed him, but I don't know if he's going to be a total, bell cow type of back.
Balky, can I ask a real quick question?
Fire away.
Khalil Shakir, talk, Chuck.
I like Shakir a lot. I really do. I think he's impressive. I mean, he's not going to put up the huge numbers, but I mean, he's going to get.
We got to have some numbers, Chuck.
He's going to get you 5-6 catches a game, 80 yards, whatever. Throw a touchdown in there. We'll take that every week as far as that goes. But he's definitely the guy. And at this point,
I'm looking for the 100-catch season.
Hold on. So let's do this. Let's do Chuck Root doing an over/under on Shakir, and I'm going to give you the over/under. I'm going to give you the stats that he put up last year, Chuck. You tell me what he does in 2025. Last year he had 76 catches. 2025 over or under 76.
He's going to go over that.
Last year 821 yards receiving. Over or under that in 2025.
I'd have to go over that as well. So
last year 4 touchdowns. Over or under.
I could see that kind of being the same, but probably, if we're going catches, going yards, we're going to go over. I guess we'll go over everything.
So Chuck Root is saying over 76 catches, over 821 yards, over 4 touchdowns. You heard it here first. Chuck Root saying Khalil Shakir, MVP of the NFL in 2025.
I was going to say, if they draft a wide receiver, then I might want to change a little bit.
Well, you know what I think is.
I wrote it down. I wrote that down.
Right,
okay.
Yeah.
In pencil, right? Pencil.
So, Balky, can we get a never too early best ball value from
Darren Armani?
Yeah. What's his mojo? Fantasy mojo.
So
can we get a mojo on Shakir?
Yeah.
And can we compare that to Pittman? I just got to get Pittman in the conversation.
Who's quarterbacking for Pittman there?
Can we compare that to Pittman?
Yes, we can. All right. So right now, Khalil Shakir is going off at the 801. This is right behind Juwan Jennings and Deebo Samuel. It's right ahead of Jacoby Myers and Ricky Pearsall. Khalil Shakir, wide receiver 38. If we go to Michael Pittman, wide receiver 53, 11-10 behind Jalen McMillan and Christian Kirk, ahead of Rashid Shaheed and Darnell Mooney. So you're looking at what? almost 4 rounds separating these two.
And
guys.
I will just point out that Pittman has put up better than those numbers that Shakir did last year, largely every year. So,
But who's going to throw the ball to him, Ferrell?
There you
well,
go,
that's a
Chuck.
good question, and he's
Yeah.
done it with the people that have thrown the ball with him. And I love Shakir, but he's done it with one of the best quarterbacks in the league.
That's true.
So let's move on to
Hold on, before we move on, Ferrell.
Oh.
There is a non-zero chance that the best quarterback who could have thrown balls to Michael Pittman this year just signed with the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
Non-zero chance.
Well,
I'm not saying it happened, but there's not a chance that.
Pittman could retire and just go to farming. Fantasy players are ready for him. He's kind of like the Green Acres of the football careers.
I know, Ferrell, you're going to ask about Deebo Samuel in a second, but before we do that, just the last thing on Shakir. All these things, you mentioned the over on all this, Chuck. Does that mean you're down on Keon Coleman?
See, that's the thing. He's the wild card, I think, in the whole the whole aspect of how well Shakir does. I mean, drafting him, they drafted him for a reason. They were big on him. It looked like him and Allen had good rapport early on, but just injuries kind of held him back. It will be interested to see what type of game plan they come out with, but I think that he's got to be used more. I mean, they have to have that downfield threat. They have to have that big body who's going to go get the ball when they need it. So, I mean, I could see, a good year out of him, but catch-wise, Shakir is still going to be Allen's blanket.
Not for nothing, fellas. They let Mac Hollins hit the road, and Mac took some receptions, yards, and touchdowns with him, and that could be a thing.
But they did add Palmer for what it's worth, and I like Palmer this year too.
When he's healthy.
Yeah.
When he's healthy. Yes.
When he's healthy. I think he's going to get cold, too.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's a little cold.
Deebo Samuel never gets cold, although this question I was going to ask is beginning to. However, what's it going to look like in Washington? Who's he going to help? Is he going to help Deebo Samuel? Is he going to help a young quarterback? What's he going to do?
I mean, he can't be worse than he was last year, right?
Yes, he can.
Well, he truly can, I guess. No, I mean, I think it's a plus for Daniels.
Rubio's on fire tonight, Paul.
Yeah, I know he is. Chiming in on Khalil Shakir. Listen, a young Cole Beasley got stuff done. He got stuff done.
PPR. That's right. PPR. That's all it is.
That's right, Chuck.
Yep.
That's right.
No, with Deebo, though, I mean, I think it's going to help Daniels. I mean, give him another threat, another competent receiver to throw to, but also, with Daniel's big playability with his feet, maybe getting out of the pocket, making some plays that way. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what Kingsbury can do with him. I still think McLaurin's the guy to have, but, like I said, can't get too much worse than for Deebo. So,
well, wait a minute, because we're talking 8th round draft pick here, right, Paul?
I'm not touching him that early. I mean, I have him in Dynasty, and, I could live with that, but I think there's other guys in that range that I'd rather have that you mentioned before. So.
Yeah, it's 709 right now in the Never Too Early tournament. And I had the opportunity to draft him in a KFFSC Draftmaster. And I was just kind of like, I'm going to let somebody else take him. Yeah. It could work out for him in Washington. It might be a better spot for him. But I think I'm still waiting for that wave to kind of crest. Is that the right term? I need it to ebb. I need it to get low. And then once that Samuel thing gets low, then I'll be in on him. But right now it's just too high. Yeah. Continuing the wide receiver conversation here, Chuck. Christian Kirk, we mentioned him earlier. Christian Kirk right now going right above Ferrell's alleged godson in Michael Pittman here. Christian Kirk, wide receiver 52 at the 1109 in the FFPC Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament. No longer a Jaguar. He's a Texan. Catching balls from C.J. Stroud. We don't know what they're going to do in the draft. We've seen what they've done in free agency. How do you feel about Christian Kirk's value right now as it stands in Dynasty and now that he's in Houston? And quite frankly, Chuck, if you want to expand upon this, do you think this Dynasty value is going to change? Would you be operating, if you had Kirk or if you didn't have Kirk in a Dynasty League, would you be operating as if this is going to change within the next 2 weeks?
Well, I could definitely see them taking another receiver, not early, but maybe a mid-round guy. But I like Kirk a lot in this situation. I think that when he signed with Jacksonville, he was signed there to be their number one, which he is definitely not. Going to Houston, with having Nico there, he doesn't have to be that big guy. Them losing, Diggs and Tank Dell, I think it just gives Stroud a weapon to utilize, and he's going to have a lot better year than he did last year because of it. And I think that Kirk is going to be pretty solid in that role.
A bounce back year for Christian.
Yeah, and I think that right now, I mean, I have him in Dynasty, and I'm happy at that. I think it was a good move going to Houston compared to other teams that he could have went to. But, I'll take him at this point.
Dizzle chiming in right now.
Yeah,
Christian
I can see it.
got
Nice. Okay.
virtually nothing, even if he does well this year. And obviously with the short benches and the FFPC Dynasty League, like that's the thing. It's like, it's one of those things where it's, if you can give up something of little note, right? A future fourth, a future third, you might be able to cash in on somebody who currently owns Kirk and is like, you know what, I'm done with this guy at this point, and acquire him. I have him on a couple of leagues right now, Chuck, and I'm holding fast. We'll see what happens with that going forward. But certainly we could, if Kirk starts off hot this year, maybe it's another selling opportunity. I mean, you just never know with these things. And Dave does not want to offend Chuck.
I think if you're a
never
Kirk
does.
fan,
No,
as Chuck is, and I am, and you're sitting here looking at these orphans who need a lot of help, and you're saying, you know what? I can get some players to help this team right away. They're free. I can get them in the last few rounds of the draft. Those orphans, you publicize the picks that the orphans have, right, Balky? I mean, you can see the draft picks of your potential and how great is.
Just real quick, Ferrell, as long as you're going to tee me up for this, myffpc.com/dynasty, you can see the final. It's a little bit less than 100 orphans that are out there right now. Yeah. The entire roster, as well as their picks for 2025 and 2026, are listed there. One click of the button, you can make these teams your own. myffpc.com/dynasty. Promo over. Go ahead, Mr. Elliott.
I went over there last year. Not much dynasty experience. Came out with 15 teams. Once you start clicking, it's mighty fun. Yeah. How's things going to click up there in Minnesota? Boy, I tell you what, if I was J.J. McCarthy, wouldn't I love to see Christian Kirk? Show up. Show. What do you think about J.J. McCarthy, Chuck?
I mean, I like J.J. I mean, I know obviously we haven't seen him play yet, but being there for a year, being in the system, seeing things, I mean, I think he's in a great spot. He's got he's got one of the best receivers plus another above average, great tight end, two good running backs. I think overall, I'm not drafting him as a starter, in a 1 QB league or anything like that. But if Darnold put up the numbers, I mean, I think he can too. I mean, also, we haven't seen him yet, but I mean, I think it's a good spot for him. And at this point, and he's somebody in a 2-quarterback league, in super flex that I'd want on my team. So.
We got a lot of guys listening tonight, Balky, as well as our talented guests who are dual players of the KFFSC and the FFPC. I just noticed that. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good
really
synergy.
Good thing.
As Ben Stiller in Dodgeball would say, there's a good energy in the room right now, and we had a good energy going.
Chuck brings amber root with him.
Yes, he does. Yeah. Chuck, let me ask you this: and this is something I go back and forth on. Some years I'm going really hard on trades at this point in the year for Dynasty. Some years I'm kind of hanging back and just seeing what's offered to me. And I think the latter is sort of how I'm approaching the NFL draft coming up in the next couple of weeks right now. I am letting the trade offers come to me, and I'm reacting to it. I'm not going out and searching out things at this point. Is that how you've been handling things in your Dynasty League this year? Is it better to let people come to you rather than going out and search? I don't know what the right answer is here, what you should be doing as an FFPC Dynasty owner right now. What have you been doing?
Well, before the cut date, the first cut down, I was actively trying to make some moves. I had a lot of guys over roster, so I was trying to get rid of some guys for some draft picks. But I mean, at this point, I mean, I've tried to trade James Cook before, but I've kind of let off on that a little bit right now. I'm at the point where I just want to see where some of these guys get drafted, and I think that's going to be the key. So I'm at the same point right now where I'm not sending any trade offers. If they come in, I like them. Something I'll think about, but I'm at the point where I do want to wait just to see what happens with these rosters and after this draft in 2 weeks.
And I think that's the right way to do it. How do you like when during the season, Chuck? Are you looking at dealing future draft picks or acquiring future draft picks? I always think like right now these draft picks are worth the most, right? So now is the time you want to be dealing them. But some people feel like they're going to get good value on them during the season as well. How do you manage your future draft picks in season in FFPC Dynasty Leagues?
Well, I think it's just a matter of, how well your season's going also. And if you're competing at that point, and then you look at, am I winning now or am I not winning now? What can I do to make sure that I am winning in the future if that's not happening? And then I think at that point you're looking to maybe, trade off for those picks. But if it's a situation where, I'm competing and I know I'm going for it, I'm not looking to deal off anything at that point. If I could take something on, I will. And, to give up a draft pick, yes, but I'm not actively looking for it. So,
Chuck, what is a 6th or 7th round dynasty draft pick worth to you? And who's your best player you've ever got in the 6th and 7th round?
it's not worth a whole lot. And see, that's the thing. That's why, when there's trade offers and those are thrown in, that doesn't really mean too much to me. I couldn't, thinking about it, I couldn't tell you who it was at that point, honestly.
I love the 6th and 7th rounds.
Yeah.
The people can flood me with offers. Isaiah Pacheco, there was my 7th rounder from one year. And the kicker, Balky, the kicker down at Dallas, is it Aubrey?
Brandon Aubrey.
Yep, Brandon Aubrey. He lines up for 60-yard kicks,
Right.
and there's a 6-pointer, boom, right there. So and I probably overvalued him because you know what? I hit the back-to-back-to-back Yo 11 3 times once, so I think now, but nevertheless, I like him. And so I wonder if I could, like according to Dizzle, I should trade trade Christian Kirk for some 6 and 7s, Balky.
Well,
Put 6 and 7s in there.
I would give up a 6 or 7 for Christian Kirk. I would. So.
Yeah.
I want to get to a couple of emails here for you tonight from listeners, Chuck. And the first one is from Fred in Brooklyn. What's the correct approach to Pat Freiermuth in his FFPC Dynasty Leagues this season? Thank you, Fred in Brooklyn. Wow. We could spend a whole hour on Pittsburgh right now.
Right.
Who is the running back going to be? Who's the quarterback going to be? And when you consider Freiermuth, I think he's the one guy that is sort of entrenched in his spot, and Metcalf as well. But Pickens, Jalen Warren, Mason Rudolph, who knows? So when you consider the quarterback situation kind of up in the air right now, Pat Freiermuth in Dynasty Leagues, in the FFPC, where it's tight end premium, buy, hold, sell. How do you feel about him right now at the moment?
I guess I'm holding him right now. I'm not loving it. I do have him in Dynasty as well, but I'm holding with them because, see how that situation turns out. Especially if a young quarterback comes in, it's always nice to have a safety blanket of a tight end to throw to. So that could be a good thing. He's shown last year that, he could catch touchdowns. He's not, I wouldn't consider him a top 12 a starter, but as a backup. So at this point.
We also have an email from Jerry in Northbrook, Illinois. Is it a mistake to sell Bijan Robinson in my FFPC Dynasty Leagues? Thanks a lot, Chuck. Chuck, before you answer this, I'm just going to weigh in on this, Jerry, if you don't mind. There are certain players, and there's not a ton of them, and Dizzle can kind of back me up on this. There's certain players in the NFL you just can't get fair value for. If you want to sell your guy at the peak of his powers and get a king's ransom in exchange for him, hey, that's fine. But I think that there's certain players you just can't get that for. It's just impossible to make a deal with somebody where you can get fair value in. For my money's worth, Bijan Robinson is one of those guys right now. I don't know if there's a deal that you can make out there right now. If you feel like you're selling high on Bijan Robinson, I don't think you can get fair return back in. Now, I know you have him in your 1250 FFPC Dynasty League. Oh, Drake London. And is Penix on that team too?
No.
He's not. Okay.
No.
So you got London, you got Robinson.
Yes.
How do you feel about Robinson in Dynasty?
With what I go along with what you just said. I've gotten many of offers for him, and nothing comes close to something I would accept. I think he's the number one running back this year, and being young, I think they're finally going to utilize him completely. I think it would take a king's ransom. I think for me.
I enter some of these drafts with a favorite rookie, and this year I don't necessarily have a favorite rookie. I've got them further down the list. I've got some guys that I think could outperform their NFL draft value. What do you have a favorite rookie player this year that that you're going to target? I mean, from beyond the elite players that the NFL seems to have all agreed on are the top picks, and then a follow up, which I know that you are very well prepared to answer. Will Kelsey and Taylor still be together when we are in Vegas at the Paris Hotel and Casino drafting this year?
Which one do you want me to answer first?
Whichever one you have the most emotional involvement with.
Oh, well, my daughter and I had a conversation about the Taylor Swift and Kelsey today. So, but yeah, I don't think so. Ferrell, I don't think it's going to happen. I think come September, I think they're done. But then he could concentrate on football again.
You know what? We're going to have 5 on it. Balky, cue up the music.
All right.
Chuck and I got 5 on it. I'm keeping them together.
All right.
Since the Dizzle's here, we got to have
game
where's the music?
I don't have the music queued up.
We got 5 on it.
I wish I could. I can't.
Yeah.
Okay, we got 5 on it, Chuck.
All right. Sounds good. All right.
Hold on. Before we get to this, Chuck, why are you breaking up Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift tonight?
It's Chuck's fault. He's a
It's my
Swift.
fault. Yeah. She's
No,
my
but
girl.
why? What's
She's
the
my
reason?
girl, Balky. Come on now.
Okay.
No.
Hey, wait a minute. Can we cut that part out of the show?
It's live. I can't cut it. But there's no
Okay.
10-second delay. We're good.
Yeah, no, we're good. No, I don't know. It's just who cares? I don't know. So.
Well, I care. I want an answer, and now I've got $5 riding on it.
Right now that there's money on it, there's money on it. So
I'm really, really glad that I asked the question.
Okay. All right, you want to talk football now, or
Well,
Yes, please.
that's
Absolutely.
football because if that couple breaks up, Kelsey catches like 6 passes for the whole season.
Yeah.
So yeah, I need a favorite rookie.
Hold
I
on,
like Judd.
I'm going to try this right now, guys. I don't know if this is going to work.
You got 5.
Oh,
Okay.
look at the screen.
I'm going to try.
There we go.
Okay, sorry about that.
Nice.
Did that play? I heard it.
Yeah,
in my,
It's
it played.
That's correct.
Oh God, we're going off the rails tonight. So glad Dizzle's sitting in on this one.
Yes.
Find out how professional this show is.
Dizzle seems to be engaged.
He is, and he's predicting an engagement from Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift here.
Tom likes
against
it.
me, too.
Tom's a romantic, so he would like the question.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Anyway.
Okay,
Here we go.
all right.
Here we go.
I like Judkins, Quinton Judkins.
Yeah, me too.
Ohio State. He's the guy I like. I mean, just reading about some of these guys and his background. I mean, he wasn't a 5-star recruit, but he worked his way up through, went to Ohio State, even though they had Henderson and everything. I mean, he's solid. He's the type of guy. He's going to be a bruiser. He's going to be that guy who, that second half running back, I think, that just really the teams can rely on, and hopefully he ends up in a good spot. So he's the guy I like.
Chuck, is there a guy as far as rookies go that you don't like that people are talking up perhaps right now that you're like, man, I don't see it, I'm staying away, and obviously this could change when we see the draft capital coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Right.
But is it the player that has turned you off right now in this year's rookie class?
I mean, it's not really my opinion, but just what I read, that Ted McMillan about his, he doesn't like to watch football or whatever. I mean, so that, I don't know, that when I read that article, it kind of turned me off on him. I mean, I know he's got all the talent in the world, but, I don't know. You're not going to put in the work. You're not going to survive. So.
If I was his agent, I would take a picture of him watching Birmingham and Arlington tonight.
Right. Soaking up as much as he can. Yeah.
Exactly.
So.
Well, where is this game? Is this in Birmingham?
Yeah,
it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Ted McMillan, pay the flight, the flight fare. You can afford it, or you will be able to afford it, and be seen in the stands, taking in as much football as you can tonight. That would disavow. Chuck Root would be a fan of you. I tell you that. If Chuck Root saw you hanging out watching a UFL game,
That's right.
That's
right.
so for sure. No, I'll say this about McMillan. I have had many people come on my shows and try to convince me that McMillan's going to be a stud. He's going to be a good player in the pros, and they very well could be right. But I'm going to be honest with you guys, still not sold on him. The separation worries me, the fact that he is this big. And I know he ran a good 40 for his size or whatever. I've just seen these guys fail. And if you want to talk about me being a like a typist or a body shamer or whatever, I've seen a lot of these quote unquote fast guys for their size that have this big catch radius, and then they get to the pros, and it's just like, not great, Bob. I probably will, because thanks to Ferrell, I have a zillion dynasty leagues, which I love. I'll probably have some Ted McMillan shares, but I'm not breaking my neck to go out and getting him, especially in this year's running back class too.
Yeah, I agree.
Pittman was faster than he was at the time.
Yeah, I should be trading my 102 for Michael Pittman right now in dynasty leagues right now. Okay, my God, Chuck, we've gotten through a lot tonight. This was so much fun.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
I want to once again congratulate you on your 500K victory. Did we talk about this last time when you were on in November? Is there any money left? Have you spent it all? Have you invested it?
I need to win some more this year.
We had that discussion.
It's running low. I'm flying back and forth to Louisville all the time. It's hard to run low,
Well, you're loved down here. You're welcome. No one knows where you go when you're not in the room, but it's, we always glad that you're back.
There was a hashtag on Twitter trending that said hashtag Louisville loves Chuck Root. I don't know if it's still trending anymore, but it was for a while.
And the Blackberry Smash.
That's right. Blackberry Smash.
Yes. Exactly. Chuck, you be good. Congratulations on all your success. Thanks so much for hanging out with us once again tonight. We really appreciate it. Good luck in all of your leagues this year. Enjoy the draft. Enjoy drafting season. And I'm sure I'll hook up with you once again in Louisville come August, man. Look forward to seeing you then.
Sounds good. Thank you very much for having me. Appreciate it.
That is Chuck Root, ladies and gentlemen, hanging out with us here on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour, live on the FFPC socials. By the way, for the first time, Ferrell, not that anybody cares about this but me, we are streaming live on the hsffhour X account tonight.
Wow.
We've never done that before. So, yeah, we're streaming to like 6-7 different locations. If you are not seeing this show, it's on you because we're putting it out there literally everywhere.
You're watching Birmingham and Arlington.
I have that on as well. It's not looking good for Birmingham, but we'll see. We'll see what happens here with 2 minutes to go. Okay. I want to talk about some of the emails that we got up tonight from, let's go to Larry in Toledo. What kind of damage is Stephon Diggs going to inflict in New England in 2025? Thank you, Larry in Toledo, for that email. Ferrell, I'm going to tell you this right now. In the FFPC Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, Stephon Diggs is not going until the 10th round. He is wide receiver 49. Yes, he may not start the season healthy, but he will at some point be healthy-ish, to borrow a line from Moneyball, for the Patriots this year, catching balls from Drake May. You have a strong feeling on Diggs? These guys that are coming off significant injuries, I usually shy away from them, but then you look at the draft capital for Diggs, 10th round. I mean, this could be your wide receiver 5, your wide receiver 6. It's a little bit more intriguing then.
As a eternal optimist balky on Diggs, I passed this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you are passing on Diggs. Now, why is that? Because of the injury, because of the age, because of the new offense?
And just somewhat of the guy, his landing spot, and just somewhat of the personality that I've seen and assume and maybe understand that he is. It takes a lot of focus to work through an injury, and it takes a lot of it takes a lot of mental acuity to find ways to contribute when you're playing hurt. And I don't know if this guy's ever done that, and I don't know if when you're on a team that's not going to necessarily win as much, although I think they'll be better than last year, obviously, but not going to win as much. And it's cold.
Yeah.
But
he did play in Buffalo, for what it's worth.
Yeah, but it's cold.
Yeah, it is. Yes. Right. By the way, the Dizzle, damage from Diggs in New England or on New England could go both ways. There's a non-zero chance of that.
Dizzle's a genius.
He is.
You see what he comes with?
He's a wordsmith.
Sitting at home on the couch on Friday night.
Former writer for Jay Leno on The Tonight Show, and he's bringing his talents to us tonight, which we appreciate. Rod in Savannah, Georgia. Hey, fellas, is Brandon Cooks worth anything in Dynasty in New Orleans this year? Thanks, guys. That is Rod in Savannah, Georgia. I appreciate that, Rod. I'm going to say this right now. There's not a lot to love in New Orleans as far as the offense goes. Yeah, Kamara, Olave if he's healthy. But, man, with this news that we opened the show tonight, Ferrell, with Derek Carr, God, I don't feel great about anybody unless they're an alpha there, and Olave is the alpha. Even if Olave gets hurt and Cooks has to step up, if he's catching passes from Spencer Rattler or Jackson Dart or something like that, man, I don't like that. I don't think he's worth anything in Dynasty for me. This is an easy sell. This is an easy cut, quite frankly, for me. How do you feel about it?
And the last thing you can throw out is Rashid Shaheed.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
And he's coming off an injury as well, but it's just like, I don't know. Like, does that boon? Does that give a boon to Brandon Cook's fantasy value? I'm not seeing it.
No.
And even if it does, it's going to be short-lived. Let's talk about a guy who's more meaningful. As far as the FFPC Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament right now, Devon Achane is going at the 203, running back 6, 5 running backs going in front of him. And Ken in Norton, Mass. Hi, hsffhour. He asked, do you see a repeat of Devon Achane's 2024 this year? Ferrell, in the KFFSC Draft Masters best ball that I'm in right now, I just took Jonnu Smith as my starting tight end in like the 8th round or something like that. So I am quasi betting on an Achane Smith return to dominance from what I saw last year, and I'm going against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. I think if you like Smith this year, I don't want to say that it goes hand in hand, but I feel like if you like Smith this year, you should probably like Achane as well. Now, if you want to pay early 2nd round draft value, that's another conversation. But I don't think Achane repeats, but yeah, 80%, 85% of what he did last year, as long as he stays healthy, I feel pretty comfortable in saying that. How do you feel about it?
I feel really good about it because we get to see this player now with a full workload. And he's a rare combination of strength and speed. I mean, everybody talks about how fast he is. I'd like to think about how strong he is. I love his contact balance. People have a hard time bringing him down. It's not because he's running fast. He's running hard. And so when running backs get in a rhythm more and more and more when they're handed the ball. And I see him as a potential of huge blow-up games because, look, he at 5 yards of carry, is that what it was close to this past year, Balky?
I'll look it up right now.
You know, I just think that yes. And at 203, that's perfect because that's about the range. That's about the range that we had Barkley in last year about this time. Is that correct? You know?
Barkley was an early 2nd round to mid 2nd round pick. Yes.
Yeah, that's about where we were.
Achane averaged in 2023 7.8 yards per carry. Ferrell, that average obviously was not sustainable. Came down to 4.5 last year.
So 4.5, okay,
which is not bad.
No, that's an excellent number.
But bear in mind, I mean, like part of the reason we love him so much is the catches. 2023, he had 37 catches. Ferrell, guess within 10 catches, and I'll buy you a bourbon in Las Vegas.
Ooh, God,
guess how many catches. He had 27 catches in 2023. Guess how many catches he had in 2024?
56.
I can't buy you. I'll buy you a bourbon for a different reason. He had 78 catches.
Wow.
78 catches for 592 yards. Gets in the end zone 6 times. Dizzle, by the way, guessed 77. That is impressive.
Right on it.
One of like he is dialed in. We got to get Dizzle.
We should have him come on the show sometime.
I love that. I love that. Let's. It's upset by being off by 1 as well. Let's talk about last email we have because we got to get out of here. Gene in Cridersville, Ohio. Without Ben Johnson, what kind of 2025 campaign is Sam Laporta in for? Thanks, gentlemen. That is Gene in Cridersville. Gene, we appreciate the email. Ferrell, right now in the FFPC Never Too Early Best Ball Tournament, ADP, which we get from FantasyMojo.com, at FantasyMojo on the X, Darren Armani, not only the godfather of the FFPC Pros versus Joe's Challenge, but anytime we cite ADP on this show, it is through Fantasy Mojo. If you are playing the FFPC, highly recommend you get a subscription to Fantasy Mojo. Sam Laporta, tight end 4 right now. He is going off at the 504, roughly 1 full round after tight end 3 in George Kittle, roughly 1 full round ahead of tight end 5 in TJ Hawkinson. He's sort of on an island by himself. What do you make of the 405 ADP for Sam Laporta, and what kind of year do you think Laporta is going to have without Ben Johnson, but still with the rest of the band back in Detroit?
He's going to have a better year. Without Ben Johnson, the Ben Johnson playbook never ends. And he looks a way to get everyone involved. He's got a quarterback that can get the 4th guy. involved, and it's and so it's. I think it would be very predictable amongst a new coaching group, which we have, and we wanted to start talking about who the new group is in Detroit, to lean on your best. And Laporta is, he's just the best at his position, or
Right.
there, or amongst the best, and so they're going to lean on him, and they're going to lean on the other players. I expect Gibbs to do a little more. Those are just safe targets and carries for those two players, without Goff's necessity to be that creative. But what a team this is offensively.
Yeah, incredible. And if you look at what Sam Laporta did last year in 2024, I'll just bring this up. He went from 86 catches his rookie year to 60. He went from 889 yards to 726. He went from 10 touchdowns to 7 touchdowns. I think you can buy the dip here. I think that if you're in an FFPC tight end premium league, to get Sam Laporta in the mid-4th right now, I think you're doing it right. And I would anticipate, I don't know how Dizzle feels about this, and Ferrell, I don't know how you feel about it, but I would anticipate his ADP creep up a little bit. Not a ton, but I would think you're creeping up a little bit. And if that's the case, if you're buying him now here on April 11th, 2025 in the mid-4th, you're going to feel pretty good about that on September 11th, 2025, if you extrapolate that out as far as what the values are going to be. So I'm with you on that as well. Whew, we got through a lot tonight, my friend. This was so much fun. Once again, hanging out with you and Chuck Root, dishing on not only redraft stuff, but dynasty stuff, and helping people out who are thinking about buying these last remaining dynasty orphans with the FFPC. I think we gave them a lot to chew on. I think we gave them a lot of reasons to be excited about those teams that they are buying. I will shout out the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship. I just registered for another best ball there tonight. I registered. I am officially in the Midnight Madness, the Bourbon sunset at the Bourbon Turn, the sunrise at the Bourbon Turn. Very excited for that going forward here, and many more drafts to come. If you are not playing in the FFPC right now, if you are not drafting in the KFFSC right now, I feel 100% vindicated to say you are doing fantasy football wrong. Register now, myffpc.com, kffsc.com as well. Ferrell, thanks so much, dude. I will let you go, and we will do this again 1 week from today.
It'll be great, Bug.
Ferrell Elliott, the definitive commissioner of fantasy football, at KFFSC official, at jferrellelliott, and of course, kffsc.com. Thanks to Ferrell, Chuck Root, the FFPC, Rob Bryce, and of course, each and every one of you. We will be back next Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern time as our penultimate show before the 2025 NFL draft. So we'll have a lot of content to get through that night as well. In case you missed it, we went live on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Show on the Better Sports Network with Dynasty League Football's Brandon Hay. That was a lot of fun. God, that guy knows his stuff. Check that out on the Better Sports Network and the FFPC socials, as well as the FFPC YouTube, in case you missed that. A lot of great stuff there. You can watch this coming Thursday. We will be on live with Under the Helmet, Dynasty Think Tank, and Football Guy's own Chad Parsons will rejoin the show as well. That guy knows Dynasty like the back of his hand. We'll not only get into a lot of rookie conversation, but a lot of like what you should be doing with your Dynasty teams right now, because the Dynasty really is a 365-day thing for Chad Parsons. He'll join me at 7 o'clock this coming Thursday. Check out the Never Too Early Best Ball and Superflex Best Ball tournaments right now at myffpc.com. Time is winding down on those. 6-hour drafts are closed. The 4-hour drafts will be closing on Monday. So you'll be down to 30-second, 60-second, and 2-hour clocks. Get in while the getting's good. $40,000 grand prize, $10,000 grand prize in the Superflex Never Too Early tournament at myffpc.com. Dynasty Orphans are still available. We have fewer than 100 teams to go. Those entry fees normally range between $77 and $5,000. Many of them have already been discounted. You can get a team basically for free this year. Pay $1, manage it to glory. 1,800 plus leagues over the last 15 years in the FFPC. No dynasty leagues have ever been folded. So, once you sign up, you are good to go. Plus, we get some dynasty startups going at the $100 level over at myffpc.com. Big Gorilla tournament going on as well. $1 million grand prize. $50 discount for every third team that you buy at myffpc.com. Drafts going off both slow and live. The early Rampage tournament is alive and well. If you are registering for the Big Gorilla, you're automatically entered into the early Rampage tournament. 7 Bananas promo, too, is live. If you want to win a Jungle Safari for 4, check it out at myffpc.com. You'll find out where you can or how you can win that there, as well as $1 million in the FFPC Big Gorilla inaugural Big Gorilla tournament this year. Remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, comment on the video, share it with your friends, share it with your enemies, and get notified each and every time we go live, which will be Thursday night, 7 o'clock Eastern time here on the FFPC socials. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Tonight, your weekend officially starts now.
This has been another episode of the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour presented by myffpc.com. It was broadcast live and was watched around the world. Balky and Ferrell will be back next week with more analysis, more interviews, and more advice from guests much smarter than they are. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk with you again next week.
Just chiming in here with Dominic Gazzetti on the YouTube chat here tonight. He is drafting with me once again this year in Louisville at the Kentucky Fantasy Football State Championship, both Saturday at midnight and the sunrise at the Bourbon Turn on Sunday morning at 7:30. It's a quick turnaround, but I had a blast last year. I try to wedge in as many drafts as I can with KFFSC because of my duties with the FFPC. Pretty much the only time I can draft live. You, listeners, viewers, do not have to worry about that, cramming all your drafts into one weekend. But cram in as many drafts as you can. So much fun, especially the value you're getting with ADP right now. Stuff is going to change radically once this draft goes off, this NFL draft goes off in glorious Green Bay, Wisconsin. Don't let anybody tell you different. It's awesome. And once that happens, you're going to miss out on some good value. Get that value in now. Draft before the draft. Make sure you're setting your teams up for glory, and then you can readjust with everybody else and continue drafting these dominant teams here with the FFPC, with the KFFSC. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you streaming, downloading, whatever, listening, viewing. Be good, and we will talk with you again on Thursday on BSN, and then, of course, Friday back on the High Stakes Fantasy Football Hour.